is filled with injustices, and human trafficking is one of the major injustices that we see everywhere. Not just way over there, but right here at home. And there are many other injustices as well. And what we believe is that biblical justice is really the solution. It's God's love, it's God's example, and it's our modeling it to others that will make all the difference. One of the reasons we're involved in tonight's program is because this issue is so important, but also because this film brings to the front of our lives how real this can be. This depiction is based on real events, but it is a movie, it is a film, it's fictional, but it gives us a chance to understand some of the complexities of this issue. In addition, it presents for us the opportunity of bringing Christians into this industry called media and making sure that Christian voices are speaking into these topics in a wide variety of ways. So in that sense, we have with us Lisa Arnold. Lisa is the writer, director, and producer of G.L.O.B.A.L. She also is behind the creative team for the movie God's Not Dead. How many of you in this room have ever seen God's Not Dead? Check that out, Lisa. I think that was just about everybody in the room. With all that being said, there is some power to Christian filmmaking, and we have to remember that not just in terms of dollars, but all of those dollars represent people who made the commitment to go see that film. So G.L.O.B.A.L is an opportunity for us to do the same, to get lots of people to watch a film for a cause that is very near and dear to our hearts. Now let me tell you a little bit about Lisa, and then Lisa's going to share a little bit more about the film. She is not just involved in films. Prior to that, she was acting, she worked in theater, she worked in television, and now she's on all sides of the production and filmmaking, which is just remarkable. So Lisa, let me ask you, tell me, given this breadth of experience you've had in the media entertainment industry, what drew you to making a film about human trafficking?
Well, I think your panel all answered that, and you asked it so eloquently. What can all of us do? 3 years ago, I had no idea that human trafficking was happening in the U.S. I really thought that it was a third world country offense. I had no idea that it was so prevalent here, particularly in my own backyard, where New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and even a tiny little town called Hammond, that's like 30 minutes from where I live, has been hit hard by human trafficking. So when we found out, the question becomes, what can we do about it? And after a lot of prayer and counsel, we decided we're being called to do something about this, to raise a voice. So as a filmmaker, what can we do and how can we address this? And more importantly, how can we get the church to engage with us? Because we're Christian filmmakers. So that is our realm, that's the lane that God has given us. So how do you get the church to engage in something that is such a horrific act and that no one really wants to talk about, and they don't want to move that curtain and understand that it's all around us? So we spent 1.5 years on the script, creatively looking at it. How do we make a film about a topic that's so dirty that we can get the church to engage and families to engage? So you will notice in this film tonight that there will be times when you laugh, there'll be times when you cry, there'll be times when you gasp because you didn't see it coming. But what you won't see are things that have been portrayed or definitely shown in many of the documentaries about human trafficking and things like that. We don't get graphic. Things are suggested, they are not shown. And that's how we were able to get a PG-13 rating, because we want families and churches to use this as a tool to get the conversation started in your community. You know, you can bring your teenagers to this film, they can watch it thinking it's just an entertaining movie, but at the end of it, they learn and understand, I just heard true statistics about trafficking. And there's a huge call to action at the end of the movie that really calls all of us to do something. So as a filmmaker, this is what I was able to do. As a mom, as a grandparent, you need to go home, you need to start having this conversation. Because if the kids are ages 10 to 14 are at the greatest risk in the US, we can't wait to have that conversation. It has to start in the home. The church is the most powerful tool in the world to fight human trafficking. And I applaud you for opening up your church, for tackling this topic, because we've got to be braver on the church front. We as the body of Christ are called to be the hands and feet of Jesus. We as the body of Christ are called to be the voice for those that have no voice. and that is the victims of human trafficking. It is nothing more or less than modern-day form of slavery. When your human rights are taken from you, that is what trafficking is. So this is the way that we were able to raise our voice.
You just mentioned the role of the church, and you mentioned how difficult this topic is, and we really need the church to be taking this on. Tell me, as a Christian filmmaker, what's one of the more challenging aspects of trying to do this thing that you do with a biblical perspective?
Exactly, because as much as I love and am so grateful and proud of God's Not Dead and being a part of the Sherwood team and all of the films that kind of preach to the choir that are so big and so popular, and we're so grateful that we can all, as a body, get edified by those and encouraged by those. But every time those films are very successful, the distributors of the Christian market make that box smaller and smaller and smaller. And they're looking for that one formula, and that's the one that's going to hit the ticket. And they're closing it off to us being anything beyond the church, going beyond the church. So that's what I need all of us to understand, and all of us to support these films that are trying to reach beyond the walls of the church and make a real difference in our country and in our world. We can be the voice that can raise influence. We can be the voice for change. So, but to do that, we have to get beyond these walls, right? So we need to be the voice to these distributors. We're looking for films like this. We want to be encouraged. We want it to be able to share this film with someone who's a non-believer who would touch their lives. And with this topic, human trafficking, I mean, if you have a beating heart, you should care that this is happening.
Now, she mentioned the Sherwood team. This is the team behind movies like Facing the Giants. You probably are familiar with those.
Yeah, Flywheel, Facing the Giants, Fireproof, Courageous, and War Room is the Kendrick Brothers' latest one.
Well, these films have been very successful, but as you mentioned, they're getting pigeonholed a lot. So talk a little bit about the importance of creativity, creative freedom, collaboration in this context.
Yeah. We just, I'll just elaborate a little bit more. We want to be able to touch lives as believers, but also touch lives beyond that. Alex and Stephen are phenomenal at what they do, and what they are called to do, Alex will tell you, is to spread the gospel of Christ. So that is their mission, that is their lane. I know you've heard many speakers talk about this is your lane to run in, that God has given you. Find that lane, work it, run it. And I'm all for that, and I still believe that, but at some point we have to cross lanes, and God's got to take us on a hard right turn, and that's exactly what happened with me with this film. If you asked me 3 years ago, would I be making a film about human trafficking, I would have said absolutely no way. But because I did a film that highlighted leprosy in India, someone saw in me that I could do films about social justice, and then that came full about. So you never know the twists and turns that God's going to take you on. And I want to tell all of you and encourage all of you, be open to those changes, be open to those turns. God can use you in so many different ways. And don't just be looking for, the ministries that you see are obvious to you. Look for any type of human right that's in danger. God has a way that He can use each and every one of you. If you're a successful businessman in this community, there are tons of anti-human trafficking orgs that can use your help, that can use your resources. If you're a school teacher in this area, God can use you to go to your principal, to be the advocate, to bring something like Cage No More to your church, to your school, so that the students can see it, and then the parents can have a conversation. All of us can do something.